Dr. Chris Pierson, the CEO and founder of Black Cloak. I'm really excited to be here with Madison Horn, WWT's Chief Advisor for National Security and Critical Infrastructure. Madison, welcome. It's good to talk to you today.
Yeah, I'm so pumped to be on today. I loved that we kind of came up with this over some cocktails at RSA. Like, what a fun event we had.
I know well, as you know, it's always about the community, always about the relationships. And so we got talking, and I was like, no, Madison and I need to share some of the stories that we have going on as it relates to privacy and cybersecurity and kind of that whole ethos with the rest of the community. You have a really, really interesting background. I mean, before WWT, a lot of things going on, and I know some of them actually tripped up into the privacy world of things. I mean, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so to provide a bit of context, because, I hope that no one reads my full bio because one, how obnoxious, but two, like, what are we talking about here? So yes, I've been in the cybersecurity world for a better part of 17 years, started my career in the, critical infrastructure sector, but doing red teaming and incident response type of work. So, always kind of tracking nation state actors and kind of understanding intent and, their motivations and tactics, etc. But boy, did I not realize that I would be at the center of it, perhaps ignorance. But I decided to do this crazy thing called run for office. And so ran for the United States Senate first, and then ran for Congress kind of in preparation to identify what race, but that's in the details. And really found myself towards the end of my campaign being the target of an adversarial nation, and I had no idea that that was going to be the case. Of course, as a cybersecurity practitioner, then we had controls in place, but we are a grassroots campaign. So we didn't have an EDR system, or we just had our basic controls from our our cloud provider. And my team understood security, but man, did we see just a totally different change in the landscape, whether that was being targeted on Twitter or Instagram, or my staff being targeted, physical security issues, things that we would do at parades to kind of think about our perimeter and our exposure, my own personal home. I mean, whatever direction we want to talk about, I've got some stories for you.
Well, I mean, when you're doing that, I mean, look, if you put yourself out there in any political race, whether it's mayor, Congress, Senate, I mean, obviously anything federally is going to be the highest stakes. But I mean, it's all consuming for you, for family, all the rest. It just, your personal and your work life are inextricably intertwined. There's no, there's no Madison Horn personal time there. There's no, hey guys, I'm just on my Gmail account, it's my personal stuff, or I'm going to go over to my personal Facebook account, or have some cool shots of some fun things I'm doing this weekend. It's you're basically on 24/7 until the campaign ends, and then potentially on for the next 2 years or 4 years or however long after that. I mean, were those some of the things that you thought about on the front end, or was it I think I'll be able to handle it, but you didn't know and how to really deal with the amount of incoming or the size and scope of the incoming?
Sure. I'm so glad, and I tell everybody that I talk to of, when I tell them that I ran for office, then the first thing they always go to, like, wow, that seems hard. And I'm like, which part? And they're like, what you just described, it's that you really are never off. To me, going into it, I was like, man, this is going to be one of those like large, long-term consulting engagements where, yes, you're always on, you're making sacrifices personally, but I also knew, and this is like the softer side of it, I went through professional coaching to say, hey, what are my own values? What is my own footing? Why am I doing this? So that I could always come back to it during those moments where, you have the Twitter bots, or you have, the other side of the aisle kind of coming after you. I was like, not true. I know who I am, etc. But no, and I think that I was a little bit ignorant, and I'll say that out loud. I'm not afraid to throw shade at myself. But because it was a grassroots campaign, I knew that I was going to be trying to flip a seat. I was very loud in the fact that, when I was running, part of our tagline was, I'd be the most credentialed cybersecurity lawmaker in U.S. history. And that is a pretty verbose statement. So, of course, why would I not be the target of other, again, adversarial nations, whether that be in the short term or long term? And it's made me entirely think about my own privacy very different. And a big moment was towards the end of the campaign, and it's in crunch moment. I mean, it is like a startup that you're looking to bankrupt on one single day. And what that moment was is, we opened up with our third-party vendor, our Google ads, and started recognizing that they were all wrong. It was different election dates. One of them that I was running with a different party, which we found interesting. And then others was I was running for a different office entirely. And so they had been running all the way up to the day of the election with deviations through it. And we were trying to figure out, oh my God, how far did this proliferate into our campaign? But it was already election day.
And this was all part of a disinformation campaign launched by a nation state. What are some of the things that you came across in terms of attacks that were dedicated towards the campaign itself, above and beyond just the ads? I mean, obviously, ads and getting people out to vote and knowing who you are, what party you're part of, what you're standing for, and all the rest, massively critically important to the overall success of the campaign. What are some of the other things that you saw in terms of directed attacks against the campaign?
Sure. I mean, to no surprise, what is the number one, a tactic for targeting someone? Through phishing emails, right? It got to a point where my staff were sending me legit emails about there was a national publication that reached out and they were just like, no way could this be real. And so they forwarded it to me and I was like, no, this domain says Fox News, this is really them. So we just became hyper vigilant to anything and everything that came in that we just didn't think that were legitimate. But a lot of phishing emails, a lot of impersonation for people who are trying to join the campaign. There were even people in our audience, which is a very common tactic to kind of whether throw me off and or just to learn intel about our campaign.
Interesting.
And so again, every point of our vetting process very much looked like a corporation of, what does our awareness campaigns look like? What does our in-person physical security look like? What do our, it was kind of wild and I did not anticipate that.
And how did that, a lot of those are, it's exactly the same types of attacks, same patterns of attacks that you would do against a corporation, but obviously towards a campaign it becomes very, very personal, very personal. What are some other personal attacks that were levied against you?
So, a lot of it was just to discredit who I was, both my professional accolades and then just who I was as an individual. In a state like that I was running in, it was very, very important that I was from that state. It was also one of the other qualifiers, obviously, was my background. And so, they were trying to say that I, was from Washington, D.C., or that I, it's kind of the cliche types of things and just hitting at my character. But I would say what was very alarming after the fact was realizing how much they had gained access into both my personal devices, into my personal email. And you're like, how did you figure that out? Didn't you realize the campaign was already compromised? Well, we didn't have the resources to do a complete incident response. I had turned it into DHS. And basically what happened was, they compromised your Google accounts. We weren't sure if that was through our third party or through one of our own systems. But what happened was I was drafting a very, very simple email post the election to a supporter. And my Google, you have a predictive text. It was predictive text, but it was in Russian. And I was like, I have no idea what the hell that means. And I was like, that's the moment I was like, shut everything off, disconnect everything. And this was 6 months after the campaign.
Oh, wow.
And so why at that point was I still a target despite the fact that I was no longer engaged, but I realized that I had put myself on someone's radar probably for the long term, or at least as long as I'm going to be active within the cybersecurity community and have a voice.
I think once people figure out the expertise that you have, as well as potentially the willingness and being able to serve others and serve the people, I think that people will always keep track of folks like you. Look, once again, the personal attack surface is big. The work attack surface, especially for campaigns, is big.
Sure.
And I think we're only going to see, as things continue to speed up here in the next few years, I think we're only going to see that this area becomes rife for exploitation early on for many nation states and definitely for other intelligence agencies. Madison, thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you for spending some time with us. Really appreciate it. Once again, I'm Chris Pierson, the CEO and founder of Black Cloak. To learn more about Black Cloak, you can visit blackcloak.io, and want to thank Madison Horn from WWT for being here with us today. Thank you.